the first time this is being done, so there may be some other folks who come in.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Our guest today is Tom Muir, Distinguished Professor from Bowling Green State University in Bowling Green, Ohio.
Rebecca Henderson, Associate Professor of Oboe at the University of Texas at Austin, and also this year the Acting Associate Principal Oboe at the National Symphony in Washington, D.C.
So, and then in the craft making, there's sometimes objects are brought forward while in the process of making. So, can you talk a little bit about that in your work?
I just thought it'd be fun to celebrate failures because I just think it's something that people normally, obviously don't celebrate, and it's just, kind of a whimsical idea that I just took it and went with it, and until I just started thinking of, and it just formed. I don't know.
Natalie, is this, what's your interest in, first of all, in Japanese culture or art?
I'm double majoring in Japanese and metalsmithing, so
okay.
I have a history of interest in Japanese culture.
And I was just interested if you had researched psychological aspects of, why, if it's masochistic scars or how people feel about wrinkles. It's, emotions are a big part of this.
What drove me to do something like this was just the way our society views things that make us different and make us individuals. To me, the wrinkles are a sign of a life that was lived.
Can you tell me a little bit about your process that you go through? Do you just start working in the material, or do you have a mental image?
Every piece I include a song lyric because I'm very inspired by music, and the song lyric is again about living life, about taking advantage of it while you have it.
Now, I know this is going to sound peculiar, but one thing I always wanted to be when I was a kid, I wanted to be a dancer. Not Pat. I wanted to be a real ballet dancer.
You betcha! Damn funny! Lesbian love story, but my father was a farmer, and I his only daughter.
I love you
Don't
too.
hear me.
There's got to be some way that we can work through this.
Oh, so you mean I can have another of the guaranteed non-shrink blouses?
Let's hear that old-fashioned lesbian love story.
Great. But that's new, and that's something nice that you've adjusted, and I just have to get used to it, and I think it has to be a little more sad.
Okay.
Try placing it a little more out towards me if you can, just so we have more of a connection there. And I think that'll help too in just when you do it. I know, you don't want to look directly at the audience, but I want to make sure it's more storytelling still that you're doing it. I wanted you to find times when you're being defensive and times when you're trying to explain and make her feel better.
Okay.
I think today felt like there was a lot of defensiveness going on.
Okay.
So I think that goes back to sort of the being careful of the melodrama with both of you. Just finding times to try to connect and then you push them away.
Okay.
You need to think about how are you entering. Are you entering with great urgency? Are you entering sort of to check out what the scene is a little? I think that may help too, because I noticed it was kind of a casual entrance this time. What I'm not getting right now is you're telling a lovely story and you sound fine, but I feel that I need to be moved in a particular way. You need to touch me.
Smoother than it is. And I think part of it is that your fingers are a little far from the oboe. Dee-ya, dee-ya. I'm here. I want you to think about your back. Are you locking your knees? Take your hand and put it on the small of your back here and lock your knees. All right, now slowly unlock your knees and sort of squat, sit down in the air. I noticed that, for example, when you're going up into the upper register, it doesn't feel as comfortable to you, right? Yeah. things get a little bit tighter and less centered. So when you play soft dynamics, make sure that you're wide open.
It's just, everybody wants to see, essentially what it is how do you handle yourself? How are you in...
Oh, you timed out at 2 hours today.
The only problem, I think, is the audio part, I couldn't hear, the voices were breaking up a little bit, and it'd be nice to see the pieces more clearly.
The system is designed to work best with speech.
Right.
And the echo canceling just simply doesn't work very well with music.
I thought it was really neat because he's right there, so we can see him and see his facial reactions to the pieces and gestures. The only problem is how it's set up is that I was constantly twisted, so now my neck's cramped up.
I enjoyed it.
You liked it?
You had to get used to it. I mean, instead of having someone, you kind of feel them next to you, and then when they move, it was just different.
Having it at eye level, and then you have the thought of having the camera either just above the screen where she is, or as close as it is possible, so that you don't have such separate points.
I could see how that could be distracting. That's pretty darn distracting.
Well, the work is really fabulous. I think everybody should be congratulated to take part in this, and thanks to Pat. And I've always really been impressed with her teaching abilities and art abilities too. But every time I've seen work from Ball State, it's just fabulous.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stephanie.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I got to see you one more time before you come here. I was missing you. It was a nice weekend.
Thank you.
It has its limitations, but I think it's clearly a success.
Yeah.
Yeah.